real estate agent from Las Vegas, Robert Steim, Keller Williams Realty, Steim Realty Network. Hey, we just wrapped up another month, so we got another month in the books. So I wanted to go over the numbers from April and take a look at what we think that means in terms of what the future holds in the rest of the spring and summer season, and just an overview of piggybacking off of the weekly reports that we do. So we'll dive right into it. I've got some takes on this that might be helpful for both buyers and sellers, so stay tuned for a minute. But I'm seeing the last 3 months now. I'm sorry. So back here in January, we kind of bottomed out 385. We've now gone up in value for the median price of homes sold. We've gone up in value the past 3 months. So we saw last year when the interest rates went up, we saw that the market really slowed down and prices started to drop because people were adjusting to the higher interest rates. So what the higher interest rates did was, when you go from 3% to 6.5%, that has an impact on how much you qualify for as a buyer in terms of total dollar amount, and it has an effect on your monthly budget in terms of what that payment's going to look like. So the payments are higher, and what people qualify for was a little bit less. So it's pretty normal that you would see that the prices did come down over that time, and then the interest rate hasn't adjusted so much. It's just become, and what this is showing me is we're getting to a point where buyers are getting used to this as being the new normal interest rate. So people are having to move. We're in the spring selling and buying season, and we've seen the prices increase. So I do expect this to continue. And what concerns me most about this is the demand hasn't been super high, but the inventory's been low. So we're seeing the prices tick up here, but that's without the interest rates coming back down. So my concern is we've got a lot of buyers that are sitting on the fence right now, and they're still trying to feel out, do I want to buy now? Do I want to wait a little bit? But let's say the interest rate does come back down. Now we're going to have this huge flood of home buyers who were sitting on the fence. And I really think with the limited inventory, we could see this price really shoot back up pretty quick. I don't know if I see the interest rates climbing much higher than they are now. So I kind of feel like we're at a point in the market where people are used to the interest rate, and we're starting to see that reflected in the prices. So that's just my opinion and what we've seen the last few months here. And then if we look at units sold, so we can just kind of see we did see a run up in property purchases. So this is units sold, which means purchases also. So people have not so much been putting their house on the market, so the inventory is still low. So because of the low number, the units is going to be suppressed a little bit, but we still did see a pretty decent run up here for the spring, and we'll see what the summer holds for us on that. And then looking at units sold in comparison to the last several years, this is how we kind of tell if we're on track. So you can kind of see the pattern's pretty similar. We see a run up in the spring pretty much every year. And then our friendly 2020 year with our lockdowns and everything, where everything tanked. So here we did see the usual run up, and then it's normal to have a little bit of a pullback. And then our summer months usually are a little bit on the higher side. But again, with the limited inventory, this number is a little bit suppressed, because if you've only got so many houses on the market, you can only have so many sales. So if it's not turning over, people buying and selling and listing their houses, then it's hard to get that number too high. So it makes sense that this is a little bit lower at the moment, but we're probably looking at a few months of pretty strong, consistent sales. So that's kind of what I'm expecting over the next few months. And then moving over to the medium price. So over the past several years, we can just see, let's see, starting back in 2019, we had a little steady incline appreciation of houses. 2020, we had the rise, and we had the lockdowns and everything there. And then lockdowns ended, and we saw the prices resume upwards. And then 2021 is where, to me, we saw a lot of pent-up demand from people that were wanting to move during the lockdowns and deciding they weren't happy with their home, and there are things that they really wish they had and wanted to make a move. So then that's when we saw this big pent-up demand. Prices went up quite a bit. And then 2022, we started off pretty strong, then interest rates hit. Actually, it was more here. The interest rates went up, then we saw the retreat. So we pretty much started here and ended a little bit below that. But now you can see the last few months we've recouped some of that And again, I kind of, just because of the inventory being low and all the positive things that are happening with Las Vegas, like we keep talking about all the professional sports teams. So we've got the Vegas Golden Knights, we've got the Raiders came to town. We just got news that the Oakland A's are coming to town. So with those major projects and major, reasons for more jobs and everything like that, and tourism isn't the only thing Las Vegas is known for anymore. So we're a little bit more stable than we were back when we had our crash back in 2008. So yeah, I think the market here looks strong, and I do think we can expect more appreciation. We have a lot of people moving from California, Washington, Oregon, some areas that are more expensive than Vegas, so they're bringing cash for cash purchases, and they're seeing the homes in Las Vegas as being a great value. So I do think this is going to continue. Whether it's slow and interest rates stay where they are, then it'll remain slow. But I do think it'll be positive appreciation for the most part. And if we do see interest rates retreat at some point, then I do think we can see a spike. So stuff to keep in mind there. And then over the past little while, since January 2020, just showing more specifically what the prices were a little bit longer term and how they've gone up. And then we saw the retreat in values, and now we're kind of bouncing back up. So, and again, I using graphs and stock type analysis, if you look at, you're drawing a line of growth, it does seem to be a fairly straight line here. So I feel like we're going pretty consistently, started to appreciate a little bit faster, then had this spike that was really not sustainable, but we had this spike in values, and then we came back down, and I feel like we're kind of back on this trajectory that makes sense. So that's why I'm feeling fairly confident that we see the prices continue upwards. And then a longer term, going way back to 2006 when the market crash was, or the last real estate boom, and then the crash, all the way down to the bottom in 2012, and then the run back up here. So a lot of people at the time, I was in business back here, and everyone was freaking out. Las Vegas at the time was really just a tourist city, almost entirely dependent on the travel industry and the casinos. So when things got tough, and a lot of people had second homes here, vacation homes, a lot of people owned 10, 12 investment properties. And when they qualified for those, they didn't necessarily qualify thoroughly with the lender. And that's really where the problem was, is you had banks giving people money without proving that they could pay it back. So people were kind of starting to be irresponsible, and they thought the values were going to go up forever and ever. So then when the market did turn, that people weren't able to cover those expenses, and then they made a business decision or didn't have a choice, and they let the houses foreclose, and then we got flooded with foreclosures. So we have never gone back to that form of lending. So again, there's a handful of people I talk to where they expect something similar to like this someday, but really the foundation's totally different. Vegas is totally different. The lending industry has treated people totally different. Real estate in general has been more responsible. New home builders haven't been building as fast, so the inventory has been limited. The growth of Las Vegas has been very strong, so the demand keeps coming in, and the supply just hasn't really kept up. So I think those are all reasons why I would not expect a big, gigantic crash like this anytime soon. And I think the future of Las Vegas looks pretty bright, so I do think we'll continue upward. And yeah, so from a buyer's point of view, I think any time that is right for you is a great time to buy. And as long as the numbers make sense, I think that's worth talking about. And if you're a seller, I think at a time like right now, where demand seems to be picking up, but inventory seems to be very low, and you would have less competition, I do think this is a pretty good time to be thinking about selling your home as well. So if you're on either side of that fence and you want to talk any further about it, I'm open to conversations and free consultations. All my information will be in the description there. And yeah, I do the weekly report, but this is the monthly chunk that a little bit bigger picture. The week to week will vary a little bit more, but I also think it's important to look at the short term and the long term, and that helps us get an idea of how we make our next moves in the future. So anyways, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have questions, drop comments below, or comment if you have comments or disagreement, that's fine too. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much.